Hello and welcome to the latest episode of my narrated rolling. This week we are looking at the topic of half guard. Now half guard is pretty much I view as a very staple guard position that everyone has to know. And you can't be mediocre at it. You have to be able to use it pretty well. I would regard half guard as important as close guard, as any other of the guard passes are, and the basic submissions. I regard them more or less the fundamental core positions that you need to use, and half guard is very important. So in this session with my friends Jason and Gosha in their White Basement Dojo, I try to tackle every single round from bottom half guard, mainly the knee shield, variations of the knee shield. Let's see how I get on, and I'll pick out various details that I wanted people to see. So we start off in this one. And the very most basic one that I like to use is the ankle pick sweep. So with this very low knee shield, I reach around and grab Jason's ankle. I pull the ankle towards me, and then I get up. Very basic sweep. And then you end up. The next sweep I do is the hip bump sweep. Now, it's as you can see, I'm reaching around to grab Jason's ankle, but he's not putting his knee down, so I can't do the ankle sweep. He sits on his bum, so I just get up. Now, one thing I wanted to show on this particular sweep, so when I come up, so it's not enough to just sort of get up. What I do is a technical stand-up. So I drag my right leg backwards. And when I drag my right leg backward, it takes Jason's leg with him. See? Takes it with him. And then that spreads him out, which allows me to pass. And I end up on top. Now this one, look out for this gap here. This is the area that I'm hunting for. Now you can't just put your hand through there because it's too obvious. So what I'm doing with my legs, I'm using my half guard knee shield as a push and pull. So I'm pushing Gosha away, I bring her towards me, and that sort of Z type of leg positioning is a very effective barrier. So we'll see what happens here. I'm pushing, and there's the gap. Push her away. She's pushing back into me. When I think there's a right time, pummel my leg through. Pummel my arm through, rather. Look at that tiny section again, because this is very important. This is the bit I found the hardest when I was learning half guard. So if you look at the hole here, I've already got my hand through, and I'm going to shoot my hand through. But what is another aspect of this pummeling is that I have to kick my leg out as well. So when the two work hand in hand, well, hand and knee together, you get a very powerful forward thrust. And you're almost invariably going to reach round. So as I thrust through, I reach round, I step up, and it's a very immediate hip thrust that sweeps her over to the other side. As I say, a very basic and common scenario. We see the ankle sweep again, which was the first sweep that I showed just a few segments ago. So as I say, it's a very common, very popular sweep that I like to use, especially from this knee shield. Now, I want to show this in slow motion. So you see what I did here with my hand. I'm cupping underneath Gosha's ankle here. And what I intend to do with that is as I'm bringing the ankle towards me, that takes away her base, her ability to balance out. And at the same time, I'm scissoring my legs from the half guard. So the top leg, which is the knee shield here, is pushing Gosha's sort of just above her hip region here. So you can't see it, but the knee is lined against her torso. So when you have this and this pushing and pulling together, you get a sweep. It's not a dramatic sweep, but she lands on her bottom, and then it's up to me to follow up. Now she's got a good gripper along my gi lapel here, which prevents the immediate pass. So I have to untangle myself from there. Now the half guard, especially the half guard knee shield, is a really excellent platform to attack with the loot choke, which I think is one of the most devastating of all gi-based chokes. But you have to do it right. It's quite tricky and it takes a lot of practice. But once you've got the hand position right and you've pushed the head underneath that loop here, this bit here, you force it underneath and then you bring your own hand over. The idea is to get as much of your fingers visible as possible. And you'll see in this version, I do that and then you get that twisting action. So this is the basic loop choke from half guard. One of my favorite submissions. I used to do this a lot at blue belt and purple belt. So it's all ready. The trick with this is just not making it so obvious to begin with, and then you catch them unawares immediately with a very, very fast loop choke finish. Now in this version of the loop choke was first popularized by Caio Terra, and instead of the regular fingers through the gi lapel, I'm going to reverse grip. So the thumb goes in and the underside of your forearm wedges underneath their chin. And this is specifically for when the normal loop choke doesn't quite work because the person's head is shifted too far to one side. I'll play the whole thing and then I'll reverse it so you can see what I mean. So I'm setting myself up for the normal loop choke. Jason's kind of aware of it, so he shifts his own head there, shifts his head to the far side, which makes the normal. So I reverse my grip. I'm framing away, notice the use of my hands to frame, and then here comes loop choke. Now it takes a little longer to get the submission, so you've got to carry on applying the pressure, and you'll eventually get the tap, because there's no escape from this. There. So we'll just play that again, because the details are very interesting to observe. Let's go there. So initially, yes, I've got the reverse grip here. And right on cue, Jason's sort of aware there's a loop choke going on. He's probably not aware that it's the reverse grip version, and he moves his head away from the grip. Now, normally, if you had the fingers in version of the loop choke, that means you're less successful with the normal loop choke. But with the Caio Terra version, with this reverse grip, you get a very nice sinking of the forearm underneath his chin, which allows you to get a really nice tight choke. So here he is. Doesn't matter that he's moved his head away. He's moved it back in again, but it doesn't matter. You can do it either way. So you can see my twisting my elbow up. Then I'm reaching my hand over, and you get, it's not so much of a twist, but it's very, very tight. And you're almost guaranteed. Now, first of all, I use my fingers. I realize I'm not getting enough of a twist, so then I turn it into a fist to punch it up. So you see my hand turning into a fist, just about there. So that it helps me get more of a powerful twist. Right here. And then I need just a little bit more because it's not quite adding the spice that I need. So I open my hand out, then the fingers give me that little bit more leverage. There, and I get a tap. So that was very nice to do. Now another one of the basic sweeps from half guard is the scissor sweep. And it's just like doing the scissor sweep from the closed guard, is that you're just doing that side-to-side action with your knees. Probably the most simple that you can teach, and I'll probably teach this in the half guard class when I run my fundamentals class. The trick is to also try and cup or grab at the knee line of your partner. So at the moment, Jason's leg is up. He's sort of in this sort of very, very one knee up stance. So I can't do a sweep from there. Now it's down. So what I'm trying to do, and unfortunately you can't quite see it because it's obscured from the camera, but I am going to cup or grab around the inside gi pant line around about here. With the scissor sweep, it's very much like the ankle pick. This top leg is going to pressure that way, while my hand, which is gripped around the knee, is going to move that way. And so you get this seesaw effect. And as I say, it's just like the scissor sweep from the closed guard, and it's just as effective. So actually, Jason bringing his knee close in there helps a lot because it narrows his base, so it makes the sweep easy. Now again, it's not one of the most dramatic sweeps. You can see he falls on his bum. I have to follow it up. So I align my hip on top of his, and then I crawl backwards there. So I get my hip on top of his and move him backwards. So that was a nice little sweep there. The final one we're going to look at is a reverse sweep. And I draw your attention to Gosha's ankle here, and my ankle, round about here. Just keep your eye on this, and that little tiny detail, when you see my foot hook over her ankle, is the key to this reverse sweep. There are other aspects that make it work as well, but that's the key moment. So at the moment, it's just a really basic low knee shield. My knee is on her hip bone. There, you can see me fishing, and then I hook it around. My right foot is hooked around her right leg. There. And then I'm waiting for the moment to take her to the other side. Here's the sweep. There we go. Again, it's up to me to follow it up. Don't be satisfied with your work. There, let's look at that again. Just that tiny bit there. So before the sweep began, it was just a regular half guard position here. You can see my feet here. And then as I'm sort of grip fighting, she's not quite aware that I've hooked the instep of my foot around her ankle. And there comes the sweep. So the sweep is, well, how this works is that this acts as an anchor point. There isn't much of a pulling action, unlike the ankle grip sweep or the scissor sweep. This really just serves to stop Gosha from basing her leg out and preventing the sweep. So my foot here hooks around hers, and it acts as an anchor point. The real work is done by again, unfortunately you can't see, but by my knee, which is aligned across her torso, and my gi sleeve grips. What the direction I want to take her upper body is this direction, while this remains anchored. And so again, you don't get the most dramatic of sweeps, but you get a very nice movement in a way that is not expected by your opponent, because this is very much unguarded. Again, I have to withdraw my leg and follow up by coming up on top. So those are 4 or 5 very, very simple basic sweeps that you can do from the open half guard position. There's a lot more to it, of course, the nuances of how far you push with your knee shield, how much you withdraw, how much of the kazushi aspect of this game plan is involved. But I really recommend that all beginners start building up their half guard game plan, because it's a guard that's very reliable, it's incredibly robust, very, very strong, and fairly low percentage, as long as you observe the rules of how to hold the half guard. And I haven't talked about that in this video. I just wanted to show some examples of sweeps. But when my students come to fundamentals class, I will cover all aspects of how to hold your upper body, how to hold the hips, how to hold the knees, which angle you are, and then you're starting to go for submissions and sweeps. All right. So I hope you enjoy that. Hope that's helpful. Perhaps I'll cover more half guard in my rolling footage at a later date. But thanks for watching anyway. Bye.